Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1 Cheryl Elston. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching this ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Lieutenant Themetre James Hammond. Themetre Hammond was born in March 1893 in Sydney, New South Wales, to Michael and Anitha Hammond. Hammond's father owned a large cattle station at Addervale in southwest Queensland. He had 3 siblings, his younger brother Hector and his 2 sisters, Aurea and Mary. He received his education at Sydney Grammar School, where he achieved excellent academic results. Hammond was also a well-known champion boxer in his youth, winning several state titles and competing abroad. Themetre Hammond was just 23 years old when he enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 29th of September 1916. He was assigned to the 13th Light Horse Regiment and embarked from Melbourne aboard troop ship Omra in January the following year. He reached England in March 1917, where he spent several months training with the Light Horse around Tidworth in southeast Wiltshire. In August 1917, Hammond transferred to the 29th Training Squadron of the Australian Flying Corps, where he commenced training to become a pilot. He graduated in October and was appointed to the rank of second lieutenant. Shortly after his promotion, Hammond was transferred to the 30th Training Squadron, where he spent several months at the School of Aerial Gunnery. He arrived in France in April, and by May had been posted to 2 Squadron Australian Flying Corps. By May, Hammond was flying missions over the Western Front as one of the newer pilots in the squadron. In early June, he took part in an offensive patrol over Quevilly in northern France, where he was approached by 6 enemy aircraft. Hammond wrote of the attack. "I was flying at about 5,000 feet. I selected one of the planes and dived on it, firing a burst of 100 rounds. I then zoomed and dived on the tail of another plane that was there, then flying nose down in a southerly direction. I fired 75 rounds and saw the observer collapse in the cockpit. The enemy aircraft went straight down in a nosedive." Though only new to the squadron, Hammond quickly became known as one of their pluckiest pilots. The following day, Hammond took off on another offensive patrol over the French town of Noyon when his formation was attacked by a group of enemy aircraft. Selecting his target, Hammond chased an enemy plane down a few thousand feet, but soon lost sight of his formation. When the operation was finished, his comrades discovered that Hammond had failed to return. He was now declared missing in action. Hammond's disappearance was the focus of an ongoing Red Cross investigation. In connection with the missing pilot, Captain Forrest, also of 2 Squadron, wrote, "The theory we hold is that he, being a new man, did not realise how many Huns were there, and was so keen on getting his Hun that he went down and probably got some Huns onto him in doing so." A further report from an air mechanic in December 1918 confirmed Hammond's fate. He wrote, "Hammond left the patrol to attack Fritz's machine, which he shot down, but Hammond's plane was then seen descending in flames, certain to be burnt to death." After several months of investigation, it was determined that Lieutenant Themetre James Hammond had been killed in action, aged 25. Captain Forrest wrote of the squadron's fondness for the young pilot, saying, "I would like you to let his people know what a lot we thought of him. Although one of the newest members of the squadron, he had already proved that he was one of the bravest we had ever had. The trouble was that he was too brave." No remains of Lieutenant Hammond or his plane were ever found. Today, he is commemorated on the Australian Memorial at Villa Bretonneux at the RSL Services Memorial in northern France. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lieutenant Themetre James Hammond, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We particularly appreciate your visit despite the challenges posed by COVID, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.